Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. Everything is connected, bro. It's true, but it also sounds kind of corny. Um, all right. Sometimes I star as myself on the hit series Black Bear News. What's going on? How you doing? We're live, YouTubers. Excuse me. Oh shoot! Yes, I did see that, Gene. Dang! Thank you for reminding me. Golly. Um. Oh man. My show has gotten suddenly very overloaded. Jeez. Oh no, I can't do that. Hold on. Thank you for reminding me, Gene, of something. Well, of that story, basically. People are concerned about climate change and they're doing things from on a citizens level, right? Not on a World Economic Forum, but on a we are under the control of Greta Thunberg. They're actually just regular old people out there that understand what climate change is, understand that it's happening. They are concerned about it, like from all the, you know, all the pipeline activists, the indigenous activists, the indigenous activists that get murdered every year for trying to defend their land and their, you know, are they all controlled? Oh, that would be a weird thing to say, wouldn't it? Oh, those people protesting that pipeline in Minnesota, indigenous tribes, they're all, it's all an op. I don't think so. I don't think it is. Well, let's start with this story. I wasn't planning on it, but you jogged my memory, and I appreciate it. Oh, before we get there, we'll say hello to the Rockfinners. What's up, Rockfinners? Hello, hello. There are people on Rockfin. They're filing in. They're coming in. Coming in the room. And we are live on Callin as well. Where Callin, I really appreciate the app Callin. They seem to be fairly open to ideas and thoughts, and I don't see the Callin app people censoring people, limiting how I operate in any way, so that's good. Rockfin is also a really good free speech platform, which is why I highly recommend that you come watch my show on Rockfin. And there are no ads there. I know YouTube might be easier to use and stuff, but for one thing, my whole shows don't usually operate on YouTube. And if you watch me on Rockfin, you may be maybe some things about it are not to your specific liking. But if you can get past that, Rockfin is an ad-free platform. You're never going to see ads, every couple of minutes on my platform. I don't know if that's I'm demonetized on YouTube, so maybe that's not happening on YouTube either. But I don't know. I'm guessing they're running ads on my, when my show begins and stuff, but maybe not. Ad free. It's a free speech platform, and there's lots of other, free thinking subject matters platforms on that channel. And if you can subscribe to Rockfin and endorse my channel. That's a really super awesome way to support my channel because I get a little cut of that every month. Just another way to support the channel. Anyways, letting you know. But let's talk about this. New Jersey sues 5 oil companies. New Jersey sues, alleging decades of concealment, public deception on climate change. The case adds to a growing number of major climate accountability cases against the oil industry, a scenario that Shell predicted in 1998. State of New Jersey filed a lawsuit. Well, you could say the state of New Jersey is not like regular old people, but this is something, if the oil industry is one of the mainstays of like the Chamber of Commerce, so let's say the oil industry is your mainstay of the bedrock of your economy, right? They really make things move. They really shape the outcome of the future of the economy, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you go suing them, you're kind of going against the whole, listen, man, this is just how it works. You scratch my back, blah, blah, blah. The state of New Jersey filed a lawsuit on Tuesday against 5 oil companies and the oil industry's most powerful lobbying group for covering up and misleading the public about climate change. The latest round of state and municipal-led climate litigation seeking accountability from the oil industry. The lawsuit filed in the New Jersey Superior Court states that companies knew about climate change for decades and actively sought to conceal that information from the public. And that is correct. That is correct. And they're still trying to conceal it from the public through very well done propaganda campaigns. Instead, they funded PR campaigns aimed at confusing and misleading the public. The oil companies concealed and misrepresented the dangers of fossil fuels, disseminated false and misleading information about the existence, causes, and effects of climate change, and aggressively promoted the ever-increasing use of their products at ever greater volumes. Yeah. You think big oil, the industry that kind of has its hand in every single thing that happens on the planet, you think big oil isn't doing just the most heinous stuff in order to continue to keep its stranglehold on the economy going? Nah. The lawsuit names ExxonMobil, Shell Oil Company, Chevron, BP, ConocoPhillips, and the American Petroleum Institute, the main lobbying group in which the 5 oil companies were members. The case comes just ahead of the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Sandy, which devastated New Jersey and other parts of the eastern seaboard. And storm previews the grave climate-related consequences New Jersey faces as a direct result of defendants' tortious deception. As it happens, nearly 25 years ago, Shell predicted with remarkable accuracy the events that would broadly unfold. By the way, Osama sent this to me, so thank you, Osama, for sending this to me. In a 1998 internal document that laid out future climate scenarios, Shell described a hypothetical catastrophic storm that would ravage the U.S. East Coast in 2010. One that sounds unmistakably like Hurricane Sandy, which sets off a society-wide backlash that would engulf the oil industry. The result would be a legal and policy reckoning. From Shell's 1998 forecast, following the storms, a coalition of environmental NGOs brings a class action suit against the U.S. government and fossil fuel companies on the grounds of neglecting what scientists, including their own, have been saying for years, that something must be done. A social reaction to the use of fossil fuels grows, and individuals become vigilante environmentalists in the same way a generation earlier They had become fiercely anti-tobacco. Direct action campaigns against companies escalate. Young consumers especially demand action. So, you know, that's good. Maybe something will happen with this. I don't know. I don't have high hopes. I don't have high hopes when Chevron is jailing, or Exxon successfully jailed a lawyer who won a case against them, formerly Chevron, in, was it Bolivia, I think? He won a case. They didn't like the outcome. They took him to court in New York, found him in contempt, and had him put on house arrest to show you how again, the ends to which oil companies will go to protect their business model, product, etc. All right. Let us continue. Let us entertain us. This sent to me from some A71. I'll just say A71. Earth has endured $29 billion weather disasters so far in 2029. $29 billion worth of weather disasters. According to a Q3 disaster report from Aon. So we're not even done with 2022. This includes Europe's third costliest weather disaster on record, the summer heat wave drought, which caused over 16,000 excess deaths. Anyways, you can see the headline there. Oh, no, you can't. Now you can. So, yeah, it's been a year of extreme weather, which has caused a lot of damage and suffering. The disasters included 14 severe weather events, damages done by thunderstorms, hail, and or tornadoes, 6 floods, 5 droughts, 3 tropical cyclones, and 1 European windstorm. Comparing the total damages so far in 2022 to past years is difficult, the broker cautioned, because the 2022 losses are expected to be dominated by Hurricane Ian, and it will be some months before those can be tallied. So likely to go up, and again, we're not done with the year 2022. Okay. Lightning Rod says, you think 29 billion is low? Probably. Well, they just said they didn't get the final tally from Ian, so going up as we speak, I'm sure. Poppy posted this. The mighty dry Mississippi. Surreal video and pictures of riverbed. Mississippi River at record lows in many areas. Here near Tiptonville, Tennessee, people are walking and vehicles have been driving on dry riverbed that would be totally underwater in normal conditions. That's a lot of riverbed. Pretty wild. Sorry, you probably are not seeing that. I'm having a hard time. Creative Experiment says people think insurance companies are still going to be around in a few years. Yeah, that's some pretty wild footage. For those listening on the podcast, imagine, if you will, an extremely wide, large river that isn't there anymore. And the Mississippi River in Baton Rouge. Here's some pictures of the Mississippi in Baton Rouge. Wow. I guess it's supposed to be much higher than that. Well, that's Baton Rouge is the end of the Mississippi, basically. So, all right. That's not good. When will that end? Nobody knows. Is there relief in sight for that? Nobody knows. European warm spell still continuing. Uh, 20th of October, warmest area between the Balearic Islands and southern France. It's gotten up to 30.7 C at Calva, 30.4 C in Palma Port, in Mallorca, 29.2 C in Céret, France, or Sorey, I don't know. Anyways, more 30 Cs on the way, so, very warm for this time of year. Abnormally warm for this time of the year. But this has been happening all year, right? Some things going on. This from the professor. Very warm and dry in Santa Barbara. This is from yesterday, another typical mid-October day in the early days of planetary superheated climate collapse. Here in hot and bone-dry Santa Barbara in the 90s. Let me tell you how abnormal that is. How super abnormal that is. For one thing, Santa Barbara is right on the coast. So, taking into account it's mid-October, but there's usually like a marine layer. There's usually much cooler temperatures right on the coast than there are inland. Like 90 degrees, maybe not quite as crazy if you're way farther inland in California, Central Valley, Inland Empire in Los Angeles, area. Maybe not super crazy, but right on the coast, super crazy. That's super crazy. That's super abnormal. That was yesterday. We've still got like one more day of fairly, warm temperatures before we actually hit some fall, back to some fall type weather, which I'm excited for. There's a heat wave in Brazil. 40.3 C in Balsas today. Heat wave has been persistent in Brazil for a while. Climate change has increased the intensity, duration, and frequency of extreme weather events such as heat waves, which have impacts on ecosystems, economics, and human populations. Quite warm in Brazil. again, think of this time in Brazil as spring, just like it is fall for us. So 104, yeah, kind of, imagine your typical springtime weather being 104 degrees. You might go like, dang, this is a little bit weird. This is a little bit strange, uncomfortable, etc. It's 12:25. Let's check the coffees. See if I got any coffees so far in this episode. Not yet, but a really good way to support the channel is buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. I'm going to check the Rockfinas. No tips yet in the Rockfins, but that's also another good way to support the channel. And there's the Cash App on the screen. Also open to calls for the next 5 minutes or so, if anybody has the will. Okay. It's from New York Communities for Change. Clergy, rabbis, and monks storm BlackRock, the biggest financier of climate destruction, demanding an end to new fossil fuel financing. Employees are being rerouted, arrests starting soon. There is no Planet B. It's a demonstration of clergy and rabbi at BlackRock. They know who's funding these things. You know? The destroyers of the planet have names and addresses. All right, we're going to take a call from Fantomas. Oh, hold on. Hold on 1 second, Fantomas. Sorry. All right, let's try again. No. God dang it. I don't know why it does this. Try again.
Thing 1 3.
There you go. All right.
Okay. So I wanted to bring this up to you because you probably didn't see it, but I think it's an interesting conversation. And it has something to do with development and society and enlightenment. Anyways, I don't know if you know this singer and rapper named Akon.
I've heard of Akon, yes.
Well, he's building a city called Akon City in Senegal.
Yes, I've heard all about that, yes.
Okay, so in DJ Vlad, he gives us an update for about 2 minutes about what the city's how it's gonna be built, and it's amazing because you keep thinking about like where we're headed as a world, and he's talking about building this elaborate city, and he's talking about the amount of hectares it's gonna be. He's talking about the 10,000 occupied bed for the hospital. It's insane.
Yeah.
And so I think there's like this huge disconnect that we're facing now because of so many different societies that we've oppressed for so many years.
Right.
Now it's their time to shine.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
And the problem is, what do we say about that? How do we say, hey, no, you can't do that now? When they look at Dubai, when you look at China, when you look at New York, I would just like to get your thoughts on that. What you think about that?
Well, yeah, disconnect is correct, and it's unfortunate because it is very true, right? So we're at a place where the growth paradigm of capitalism is outstripping the resources we need to continue this growth paradigm of capitalism, right?
Yeah.
But we've spent an entire century going like, this is the best way to live, telling everybody on the planet, this is how you got to do it, right? I mean, people immigrate to the United States on the assumption that like, hey, better life, better world, better everything, right? Standard of living, going to make that money, going to get that cheddar. Right? So we have effectively exported not just physically our way of life to the rest of the globe, but mentally, psychologically, we've set up the Western style of standard of living as the goal, right? The king of the world. And so, yeah, everybody else now who is now being allowed, right? So oppressed societies or oppressed people are being allowed to enter the financial marketplace, and they're like, all right, finally got my turn. 100 years of Jim Crow and bullshit and all kinds of, all kinds of evil tactics to keep me economically oppressed. And now, you're going to take the foot off my neck and I'm going to go for it. And so, I mean, what do you say to that? It's hard to say, like, don't do that, or maybe now is not a good time, or, now we've realized it's a bad idea, right? It's fucked up because we've distorted reality on so many levels.
My only strategy to that would be to increase the amount of wealthy people talking to wealthy people all over the place, because there's such a disconnected reality that when people see that in such a level of saturation, it's almost like having Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous on every single channel for 24/7. That's going to hit a breaking point, and eventually, like, the pendulum's going to have to swing back really, really hard. Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to be forced into this world of this, Hunger Games in the metaverse or some shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard. It's hard to plot a path forward.
Well,
and going back to the Akon thing, like, it's hard to say anything bad about that. Like, hey, you got some money and you want to invest in, your people, and like, it's hard to say anything negative about that because, you made the money and people need help, I guess. I don't know. It also goes back to the discussion about, like, poverty that we were having the other day, and that I kind of have all the time, is like, again, you've psychologically programmed people to think like, well, more is better, right? More is always better. And so how do you actually reverse that? That's a very deep, I don't even know. That's in everyone, not just, that's in people everywhere. More is better. Having more is better. Having more things is better. Bigger, better. Faster, stronger. Like, everybody, how do you... I mean, the only thing I can think of is you kind of actually have to turn back to some kind of, like, biblical scripts, some biblical messages where it's like, it's harder for a wealthy person to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for, or something, whatever. I think I'm messing it up. Harder for what? How does that go? Harder for a sinner to pass through the eye of a needle than a wealthy man to enter the gates of heaven. I think that's what it is. Something like that. Which is basically, right? A lot of those old texts and biblical scriptures were taught. Actually, a lot of that taught, and people would say, well, that was all mind control by the elites, by the wealthy. I don't know if it was all mind control. I think there's some wisdom there. I think there's actual, like, real world wisdom. It's, I'm not a religious person, and I've never been like a theologian. I've never been a biblical scholar but, like, there are some things about the Bible that are interesting to me because there is some, like, ancient wisdom in some of the things they say, right? Like the Garden of Eden, that whole story, leaving the Garden of Eden by eating from the tree of knowledge. Like, what? That's exactly our issue. Our issue is that we think to a lot about ourselves, and we think about a lot about the things that we can do, and that's gotten us into what? A whole lot of trouble. So, maybe what we think of as knowledge is not, or what we think of as good and great things to achieve or aspire to are not the things that we should be aspiring to.
Well, I'll close on this. I think Akon City is going to be like the direction that we're headed in is like probably a city that's going to face starvation and lots of other ecological disasters. And I think that it's going to end up being something like Pompeii, maybe not from a volcano, but from some place else. And the other thing I wanted to mention to you,
you could also pile on all the cities they're building in the Middle East, right? The mega cities.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
exactly.
that's going to be ugly in like 10
Those
or
are going
10
to
or
be
15
great
years.
archaeological finds
Right.
for the next civilization. But anyways, I wanted to close with you because your channel is Black Bear News. I wanted to ask you, did you see that video footage?
Yes, I did. That was amazing. Yeah.
Did you show it to your audience or no?
I didn't show it to my audience. I don't know. I just thought it was amazing. I don't know if I
think they'd like to see it.
Did everybody see somebody fighting off a black bear, a climber, a mountain climber? I don't know if everybody...
a lot of people didn't see it. That's why I mentioned it. So anyway.
Well, maybe I'll go dig it up and I'll find. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Right on. Thanks.
Later.
Yeah. Anyways, like, just to continue for a short second on, a lot of people think that the messages of the Bible were all like social control and, mind control and brainwashing in order to keep people down. You must live with less and you must, suffer for God. And, while the wealthy people, there's some truth, while the wealthy people party, there's some truth in that. However, there's also some ancient, I think, wisdom in that having less might lead to a more divine life, right? Like a more direct connection to God. I don't know, or God or the universe or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't know. There's something that rings the bell there for me. It rings the bell. It rings true. Like, oh, there was some ancient wisdom there that people should should have listened to and should continue to listen to. Anyways. Where are we? California heat wave exceptionally hot today with the latest 100 Fahrenheit 38°C on record. This is from, I think, is this from yesterday? Yeah, it's from yesterday. But look at the bifurcation of the, look how cold it is in the East Coast. And it was quite warm yesterday here in my locale. It was very toasty. Very toasty, and all the way out to the ocean. I actually went out to the ocean last night for dinner, and it was very hot. It was like extremely strangely hot. It was very warm. It was like a July evening. It was like a sultry, warm July evening in the latter half of October. It was very weird. All right, y'all still with me? We all still grooving, doing it? What's up, Rock Finners? How you doing? How you doing? All right, let's move on. Okay, I think well here we'll We'll cover a couple more things and then we'll jump off of YouTube. Just giving you YouTubers a heads up. In the next few minutes, we'll be jumping off YouTube. But this is from Joe Biden. I don't actually think. I feel like this is from a few weeks ago. I don't know if this is necessarily. I may be wrong. And Phi and Drat on this no sounded. Here we go. Here we go.
My message to the American energy companies is this. You should not be using your profits to buy back stock or for dividends. Not now. Not while a war is raging. You should be using these record-breaking profits to increase production and refining. Invest in America. For the American people. Bring down the price you charge at the pump to reflect what you pay for the product. My message to the
Something tells me that's an older clip, but that's funny because I think that's going to go the way that the whole, like, I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia and try and tell them to pump more oil for us, your buddies, the USA. Right? And, you know, supposedly climate change is a real problem. But oil companies, you take your profits and you reinvest in pumping more oil, okay? But something tells me that's not, you know, that's going to be like, what's that, Joe? Huh? What? Speak up, Joe. I can't hear you. Oh, you said nothing? Okay. All right. That's weird. But looks we'll show here's a little comedic little comedic break here.
Here I am back in January of last year. I just couldn't keep the weight off no matter how many different exercise programs I tried. Now I'm down to my ideal weight, and it's never been easier. All I had to do was vote blue, no matter who. Every time I went to the grocery store, I was with so many different options to choose from. But now I'm lucky if I can even fill my basket up. I used to be really unhealthy, never got that much exercise. But now that I can't afford to put gas in my car, I have to walk to work. And as an added bonus, I don't have to worry about being carjacked anymore. So you can ditch Tybo and start saying Ty Joe.
Come on, man.
All right, that's a little bit of silliness, and you know, trying to slap on the Democrats. I mean, whatever. It's you know, Democrats aren't looking so good right now, and they have a lot of things working against them. So it's easy to take shots at them. But the funny thing I found, you know, the thing I found funny about that video goes back to the discussion about poverty, right? Because, well, you know, thanks to Joe Biden, we can't live like fat, overconsumptive slobs anymore. You know, like, I can't get in my car and put my gas and get to work. You know, just, it's like, I don't know, whatever. Seen from a different lens. It's funny in a different way. I don't know. Maybe not having all those things might be good for you. Might actually lead to a healthier life. Maybe. You know, you don't need a gym membership to stay in shape, right? You don't need like to go get a Starbucks on the way to go to your gym membership in your SUV and then go, you know, shopping in the mall after your gym workout. You know, you could just walk outside of your house and run down the street. You know, you could just get on your bike and cycle to the store. There's a whole lot of things you can do that you would never think of doing. because oh my God, so hard. I don't know. Maybe it's better if you don't have all the things, all the appliances, all the conveniences. Maybe those things, maybe not having those things might be good for you in some ways. It might actually make you a better human. Just a thought. Gene says, work in your garden. Right. Creative experiments, diet plan. I like riding my bicycle. Cars make you fat. Yeah. Interglacial Optimist says, we melted the snow crab. We sure did. Let's keep going. Okay, I'm going to have to save this one for tomorrow. Hold on, because we got to move on. There's some other things I want to cover. Guys, we're going to jump off of YouTube now. Thank you, YouTubers, for hanging out with me every single day. And we'll see you tomorrow at noon. We will continue the show on Rockfin and Colin. Peace.